Welcome to Observer of Anomalous Objects. This is my channel on YouTube, and I really appreciate you joining the show today. I'm really excited because we're going to be talking about Jeremy Corbell and Dave Foley's UFO encounter. In case you haven't been following my channel, we're going to be doing a series of videos or episodes on UFO events, UFO encounters, and so this one kind of fell in my lap. This comes from the Weaponized podcast episode 15, and what I did is I cut a clip out of it where Jeremy Corbell and Dave Foley are talking about an experience that they had together of seeing a UFO. My plan for this show or this episode is to go ahead and show you guys that clip. It's about 10 minutes long, but I really want you to take in everything that Jeremy and Dave are saying, because this really is an extraordinary event, and it's not just from one person's perspective, it's actually from two. It's from Jeremy and Dave's perspective, and so it's really a good story. It's a good event. The only thing I wish is they'd gotten some video of it, but we'll talk about that when it's over. And so we're gonna play the video, and then when the video's done, I'm going to basically give you kind of an introduction to it, and then we're gonna ask some questions and try to answer those questions, or at least ponder some of those questions as well. So here is the video. It's about 10 minutes long, and then afterwards, like I said, we'll be asking questions.
I'd like to talk about your adventure. The two of you guys saw one. I mean, you know, you had never seen one before. I know I've never seen one that I know of as far as I can remember, but you guys had one. So let's hear the story.
Yeah, finally both of us had one. It's a crazy story. I want to hear Dave explain. We both, we saw the same thing, but we both different things of it really intrigued us. And so I like kind of hearing how Dave experienced it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it happened. It was a night I was visiting, and we were out walking your dog.
Yeah. On
a very beautiful starry night. I don't think there was a moon in the sky that night. I think the stars were so prominent. And I remember watching in the distance, watching the commercial air traffic flying around, and just thinking about what a clear, beautiful night it was, and just saying to Jeremy, this will be a good night to see something. I'd like to, and
so we're pretty remote, by the way. So so where we are. Big sky, no light pollution. It was just like one of those beautiful nights, and walking my pup and just kind of really enjoying the night. And then this guy gets sarcastic.
Yeah, well, you remember that. I don't. I just remember saying I want to see. This would be a great night to see something.
No. This is what happened. Foley goes, "Hey man, it's so cool coming up to hang out with the UFO expert. I was kind of hoping I'd see a UFO, just kind of digging at me.
Yeah.
I've never seen one either, never really a machine that I could say that's a UFO.
But within a few moments of asking to see something, I think I was looking and Jeremy goes, "Dave, turn around." And I turn around, and in the distance there's this bright orangey gold thing kind of pulsing with orange gold light and with some white lights on the front of it, or assuming it's the front, because that's the way it was traveling. And we're looking at it, and it's clearly, and you see the commercial air traffic all around it, and the difference is very stark. And
this was close, first of all. This was close compared to other air traffic.
And it got closer and closer to us, and it sort of traveled around this valley and I think we both were thinking at the same time. I kept thinking, this will be like when I'm in my backyard and I see something, and I eventually realize it's just something boring. I kept thinking this is going to get boring as it gets closer.
Did you say anything to each other as you're watching it?
Well, hold on. That was weird. So let's get into that. But I want to, what you kind of missed, what I saw.
Yeah.
So again, he's taking the piss out of me, and I'm thinking, motherfucker. And then I'm looking, and he's standing there, and his back is to it. And from a 45-degree angle, which looked from as far as the distance could be from high up, seemed like it came from space. This thing just shot down at a 45-degree angle, just glowing, right? And then it, boom, hits and levels off. So that was the first thing, and that's when I was able to say, hey, turn around. Like, I already knew this was weird. I thought maybe it was a comet or something. I thought it would end up being super prosaic, because I've never seen bona fide machine UFO, and we were both kind of like, had never seen anything like that. When he turned around, he caught it right after.
As it was level.
As it was level.
It stayed on a level, like, I guess what we call it, trajectory.
Yeah, and so
from then on.
So our reactions was a really weird thing. But before that, like, what was so impressive to me we all thought, like he and I thought, I'm sure, We thought this is going to end up being something normal or a comet or something.
It's going to take an angle and show
yeah,
itself.
and show itself. Holy shit! Because first of all, it's over the mountains on both sides, just right there over the sky, and it was big. And the thing that really struck me, for me, and I know this is maybe different than for Dave, but it was self-luminous, and it was like, you could say it was glowing. It was self-luminous, but it would pulse with this extreme power. That's the thing that really struck me, was the power that it took to do this. And there were 4 pulses, and when it pulsed, it kind of went like, and there was no sonic boom. It was these movements, and seeing it descend in from a 45-degree angle and hit down and then move. It was so, to me, this tremendous power, because you could see it was a machine. It had these big 3 lights that weren't shooting like beams.
Yeah,
they
2
were like
smaller lights with a larger white light in the middle of it, and they were pulsing too, but at a different tempo than the rest of the craft.
Than the body of the craft. And that was the thing to me, was it was almost comical. It was like what you'd imagine drawn in a 1940s comic book. I wanted to see
retro, kind of
retro.
Yeah.
You drew it, right?
I did draw a picture of it, yeah.
But our reaction was pretty crazy. I practiced the quick draw on my camera. I'm not going to be that UFO guy that doesn't pull out his camera, right? But I'm thinking the whole time I'm sitting there, I literally said out loud, I'm not even going to try to film this.
Yeah, and I remember hearing that and going, and in my mind, it just seemed like, that's a weird thing. And then I also, in retrospect, go, it's really weird that I didn't call you out on it right away. But neither was, except for that one time that Jeremy said, I'm not going to try and film this. Neither of us spoke for the entire event. And it felt like you were addressing somebody, but you weren't really addressing me. I hadn't said anything.
Yeah.
You were just saying it out loud, like somehow that thought popped into your head. And
maybe it
to
was.
not do that.
For me, it was just like, I was so astonished by what I was seeing. I couldn't believe it. You had just made this joke to me.
No, it just seemed so irrational.
What do you make of that? That you say it, and then boom, one appears. Is that an invocation that it appeared because you said it?
I don't. It seems like it was. It seems almost weirder if it wasn't. That we would just coincidentally discuss this. Two people who were interested but have never seen anything.
And there it is. And how long did it last, and what happened at the end?
It was a few minutes.
Yeah.
A few minutes.
Yeah, we watched it. Never pulled out that damn camera of mine.
And as I said, except for that, we didn't say anything until it went away behind the mountains.
Well, hold on. So in my defense, like, I am astonished by what I'm seeing. Like, I can't believe it that we're actually seeing one, because it was so weird right after what he said. In my defense, if I had brought up the iPhone, the darkness of the sky, because it was almost completely dark, there was still a little bit of light, you would not have a great UFO video after that. So in my defense, I was thinking I didn't want to hurt my eyes with the light, so I didn't miss a second of it. But also, we thought it was going to disappear. It seemed so unusual, we thought it would disappear immediately. That motherfucker hung out. After the slips, it just kind of kept moving slow.
And then it hovered, or stayed in one spot, stock still, for an extended period of time.
And then it
when it went behind the
descended.
Mountains. Any other witnesses that in the days that followed?
100%. Wiley, my dog. My dog saw that. I think my dog summoned me.
I mean, any newspaper accounts, any reports?
Nobody. I asked, I've had people in my area tell me about having pretty astounding sightings. It's a cool area for watching UFOs. People have told me about some of their really astounding sightings. When I was actually editing the Bob Lazar movie, right out on the mountain where I was editing it, there's an actor friend of mine who lives near me, and he was shaken, and he called me, and he had seen something that looked like kind of like a Tic Tac just hovering by that mountain with like portholes. The guy was like trembling when he told me. Never told the story. He doesn't want to tell. So he was, so in that area, I don't know.
But here's part of the weirdness, is that response to it makes sense.
Right.
Our response makes no sense.
Right.
That we had, neither one of us had any level of excitement. Our adrenaline wasn't rushing.
You're just kind of mesmerized.
Just going, and very calm, very just matter of fact about it, and no emotional response, and even since it, I have no emotional response to it when I think about it.
Before you talk about drawing it, I'll tell you this though. We got home and we built a bonfire, and I said I went into full investigatory mode. Okay, tell me exactly what you saw. I want to make sure. What did he see compared to me?
And is it the same?
Yeah, it was the same. I mean,
Yeah.
he was able to describe the shape of it a little better than me, both by drawing but also in description. We had the thing that impressed me most was the sheer amount of raw power that it took to do that without sonic booms. Because remember, I saw it coming at that 45-degree angle and just stop and then move. He had a kind of more personal experience with it. I think what he's saying about the way we reacted, I have to chalk it up to just being astonished.
Yeah, I think it's more than that, because I think our astonishment, we would have had some adrenaline rush. There would have been some excitement, because you watch people's videos of UFOs online, and they're always going, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah. Right.
Jesus Christ, what the fuck? What is that?
Right.
And none of that from us. And even after it was just like when it went behind the mountain, Jeremy just went, "Dude, that was a UFO."
You know, in UFO lore, there are so many cases of people who witness something and then they fumble for their phone or their camera and try to get it, and by the time they get it up there, it's gone. And
Yeah.
so you have to make the decision: do I want to see it or do I want to videotape it? 'Cause
Yeah.
sometimes the two are.
I felt like there was like that our response was not under our control, and that somehow we were led to just stay calm and pay attention.
Well, as you can see, that was a pretty powerful video. Listen to their testimony on it. And I'm sure you picked up on a lot of this, but Dave had come over to visit with Jeremy. It was a beautiful, clear night. They mentioned there was no light pollution. And so they thought, you know what, this is a perfect night to see a UFO. And so they talked about it, and then all of a sudden, guess what? This UFO shows up. I mean, Jeremy says to Dave, "Hey, turn around." And when he turns around, he sees this orange goldish object that's moving, and then eventually it hovers. But what Dave didn't get to see, because his back was turned to the UFO, is that according to Jeremy, it appeared to come from outer space. It was coming at a 45-degree angle. All of a sudden it just leveled off, and then it had, like, I think he said 4 pulses where it just went boom, 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 and then eventually leveled off. And so it was pretty amazing to be able to see that going on. Now, one of the things that they said about it is that it was big, and Jeremy mentioned that when it pulsed, it was like an extreme amount of energy that was coming, that this thing just created a great amount of energy. But what surprised him was that there was no sonic boom. I mean, you imagine something coming from outer space, 45-degree angle, it's shooting down, and then all of a sudden it stops. You'd expect to hear a sonic boom, but there was no sonic boom at all. They said the things they said about it before it went behind the mountains and disappeared is that I said this already, it's bright orange and gold, kind of had a glow to it, but it still had a physical object. I think he called it a machine, not like it's just something you're seeing that you're not sure if it's real or not, but a UFO type machine. I'm not exactly remember exact word he used, but it was in that idea as well. But what I want to do is I want to ask some questions. There's a lot to take in from this video and from this encounter, and so I want to ask some questions. The first question I want to ask, and maybe you're wondering it too, is it possible that Jeremy and Dave actually summoned this UFO? I mean, I think George used invocation. Did they invite this UFO to come in? And Dave's exact words, would be even stranger, more weird if that wasn't the case. That it just, the coincidence was so strange that here they are, the perfect night. They're saying, "Hey, we want to see a UFO," and bang, one's there right away. And so my suspicion, and this is just me talking here, is that somehow, some way, this UFO came because they actually invited it. And I don't know exactly how that works. I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen a UFO yet. I'm going in July with a friend of mine and we're going to go and try to spot some orbs and stuff like that. So hopefully after July, when I get back, I'll have a story to share with you as well of my own UFO encounter. But I think the friend of mine told me he clears his mind and then starts thinking about the UFO, and for some reason these orbs show up for him. And so I'm really excited about being able to have that experience as well. And like I said, I'm hoping that when I get back from that experience, I'll be making a video about my own UFO encounter. Another question I want to ask is, what should we make of, and this is exact wording, Jeremy calling it a machine UFO. What did he mean by that? Why call it a machine UFO? Why not just a UFO? And my thinking on that is that when he looked at it, he goes like, you know what? This is an object, a physical object. This is nuts and bolts. This isn't some plasma that's out there. This is some kind of machine, a physical machine. And so that was pretty interesting as well, as I think that's probably why he did that. Another question is, and this is really important, this is a question I'm sure a lot of people are asking, is why didn't Jeremy record it? I mean, this is a momentous moment in history, especially in the life of Jeremy and Dave, and why in the world didn't he quick draw his video out like he said he could do and start recording it? Something I would have done. I mean, at least I think I would have done it. But then Jeremy talked about how it was kind of getting caught up in the moment. But I thought Dave was probably a little more clear on the real possibility of why Jeremy didn't do it. In fact, if you listen to Jeremy, you can tell that he regrets that he didn't videotape it. But Dave said it's almost like the UFO prevented them from doing it. Prevented them from being able to videotape them. And I don't know why that is, because we know other stories where people get videos. They're usually grainy and not very good, but I think Jeremy's defense, he did mention that it would be hard to get a picture with the backdrop and all that. But also he didn't want to miss seeing it. But I still think it's strange. And why is it strange? It's strange because Jeremy Corbell is a filmmaker. And he gets one of those events that happen probably once in a lifetime for most people, and he doesn't record it. That is strange. You would have to believe that maybe there were other forces at play here, somehow keeping Jeremy from getting this footage. But man, if he had gotten it, what kind of footage that would have been. One of the questions that George asked them is, was there any other witnesses? And Jeremy was quick to say, yes, there were. There was my dog, Wiley. And I thought that was funny. That was funny he'd say, my dog was a witness. You know, then he's jokingly said maybe it was the dog that actually invited the UFO to show up. And I thought about the dog, and I was thinking back to the Men in Black. You remember the little dog that would go drive them around and stuff? I was wondering, could that be Wiley? Could that be Wiley, or a Wiley type dog? I guess we'll just never know on that. And if they were chosen, I'm getting back to my first question, kind of blending them to this. If they were chosen to be able to see this event, the question we have to ask is why? Why do UFOs, why do aliens, non-human intelligence, why do they seem to choose certain people with no rhyme or reason to it? And I'm just like, what's going on here? Why is this going on? And you know, to me, there's some bigger implications if you think about it, because they said there really, as they looked and they checked, they could find no other person besides Wiley the dog who had seen this UFO. Not one other person. And so the question is, was this event catered for just Jeremy and Dave? Were they the only ones on that night allowed to see this extraordinary event? And if that's true, and I say if, what are the greater implications of that? Because that UFO was clearly there, but Jeremy and Dave were the only ones who were able to see it. And so what are the greater implications? The greater implications are, if that's true, if that's what happened, that means UFOs may be here, they may be in our skies right now, but we can't see them. And this isn't the first time I've heard this story where one person sees it. There are other people out there and they're looking up at some UFO and nobody else seems to be able to see it. And so the broader implication is maybe there's a lot more activity going on than we know. And maybe not in every case, but maybe in some cases anyway, only a select few are allowed to be able to see it. I don't really like that, to tell you the truth. I want to see it. And if nothing else, I want to be one of those select few to be able to get to see one. And like I said, in July, I'm hoping to do that. Now, one of the other mysteries that came out of this episode, which was kind of weird, is that Jeremy and Dave had really no emotional response. And I don't know that I've ever heard anybody else say that. I mean, we've seen the reaction to the Tic Tac and the Gimbo videos. I mean, they were just like blown away. Most of the other people that I know, when I've talked to them, it was emotional. It was very, very emotional. It wasn't like they were just sitting there and reading a book and it's just some boring chapter or some boring event. I mean, this is major. This was the first time either one of them had ever seen a UFO. And what's probably just as strange is they really haven't had an emotional reaction since. They said later, and I'm assuming that even to the time they were doing this episode, it's like, wow, how can you go through something so astonishing, so emotionally, what should have been emotionally overwhelming, and have no emotional reaction? And so my question is it possible that somehow whatever this was, whether it was alien or whatever you want to call it, non-human intelligence, did it somehow give them a calm that didn't really allow them to get emotional? And maybe especially when you think about what Jeremy does for a living, and Jeremy's a little bit dramatic. If you've ever watched his shows, he's animated, and I know sometimes I think that gives people the wrong impression about who Jeremy Corbell is, because I find him very credible. I think he's, like you said, normally he's a very emotional guy. He's very dramatic about what he says. And so, boy, you want to talk about the opposite side of the coin here. This seems to be opposite of Jeremy's personality. And even listening to Dave sounded, a little dramatic in how he tells things. But this one event, a once in a lifetime event, they were calm. They were cool as a cucumber. I mean, just absolutely strange. It's bizarre. And like I said, it's not just bizarre because that's how they felt at the time, because sometimes you can kind of be in like shock. It's like an epiphany going on, and maybe you're kind of just so overwhelmed you're kind of numb. But then later on, as you're thinking about it, you go, wow, that was amazing. That was amazing. But it's not the way this story unfolds, according to Jeremy and Dave as well. Now, another weird thing, and this will be pretty much one of the last questions I ask, is why did Jeremy and Dave not speak except for when Jeremy said that he wasn't going to record this event? And so that was a strange thing. I mean, they're seeing something phenomenal. I mean, I'd be sitting there going, hey, man, are you seeing this? This is unbelievable. And then we'd go on, hey, man, do you think it's an airplane? No. It's not a satellite. I mean, that's just strange in itself, man. I'd be going, wow. Not only would I have my camera out and I'd be recording it if I had the possibility of doing it. And I'm not saying that Jeremy had that possibility. Maybe he was being prevented. I don't know, man. But I'm telling you what, there'd be a lot of conversation. So the question is, were they afraid? Were they afraid maybe if they talked too much, they'd scare this thing away? I don't think so. Because by all accounts, it's almost like this experience was catered just for them. It's almost everything he said. They were out there on the perfect night. They were talking about how cool it would be to see one. And then boom, one gets there. And then at one point in this story, they talked about it getting closer. And it's like I said, it was just for them. And so maybe what it was is just they were in just awe. I mean, it was like I guess you compare it to a religious experience for them. It's not something you see every day. Something that a lot of people will never experience in their entire lives. And so maybe that's what it was. But I'm telling you, this story rings true to me. I mean, I tend to be a skeptical person. If you read my tweets on UAP Twitter, you'll see, someone shows me a video or tells a story. My first response or my first thought is it true? I don't just hear a story or see a video and automatically go, wow. Why? Because I don't want to look like an idiot when I find out it's a fake or somebody made it up. But this story rings true to me. Now, I have no way of knowing 100% that it is. But the details they gave, the way each one of them described it from their own perspective of it, I thought it made a whole complete story that felt very, very truthful. Well, if you've enjoyed this video, and I sure hope you have, I'm going to keep making videos like this. Probably won't have a 10-minute video of the person actually describing the event, but I'm going to keep doing UFO events and encounters, continuing to make more and more episodes of those. And so if you like this video, let me just encourage you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button. This is a newer channel, and I need all the subs I can get. And so if you enjoyed this, and I sure hope you did. I sure hope you did. I'd love for you to be able to hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching once again. Just want to let you know how much I appreciate it.